Hey, thank you to both of you for taking the time to do this interview.
Of course.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and be able to talk about the brand new album from Blind Channel coming out on the first of the month through Central Media. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this album out over the past week or so, and I gotta say I'm very thoroughly impressed with this album. I really love the diversity that's going on. It can get super heavy, it can get super catchy. It just goes into so many different directions, but sounds very cohesive. It's a very well constructed album.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you so
not
much. It means a lot.
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, how does it feel to have the album coming out in just a few short weeks?
Well, obviously it's super exciting. We had the album ready like sometime at the end of before the end of la previous year. Before the end of last year, we had the album ready. So we listened it to it like a lot of times. We even got the chance to obviously when we wrote the songs, then we recorded them, then there was mixing, mastering, all that. So we heard the songs a lot. Then we had like this small break and listened to it again and were relieved that holy shit. Thank God it's still good. It's still amazing. And now we're just super excited to just be able to share it with the world really soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally understand that as well too. I mean, there's so much time and effort that goes into it, and when you can finally enjoy the fruits of your labor and uh, actually have the album come out, and especially with the way the band has been going over the last few years, and just seeing the popularity rise and rise, and so many great things that I've been hearing about the band, and so many great things. It's so awesome to see the new music come out and just it sounds like you guys are at the absolute top of your game right now with the way everything's going from like the vocal melodies to the different samples that are going on and different influences. I really love all of that because especially on that first listen, you never really know where it's gonna go, but it's so exciting to see where the album is gonna go.
Thank you so much. I think on this 10-year period we've been going on as a band, I think we're finally ready musically. At some way, we are there where we should be with the music and everything. So yeah, we're happy to hear that it works for you as well.
Yeah, and also like the fact that you said that the album is surprising because that's always where we aim at as songwriters and performers. As artists, like overall, we're always aiming at the element of surprise. Like if it's a live show, we hope something unexpected happens. We try to surprise each other on stage, like to do something crazy, because those are usually the best parts of the live show. And with this album as well, when we started writing a new album, when we started writing this album, we were like discussing and doing different ideas, and there were like no limits, there were no boundaries to what could happen. Like we always want to like surprise the audience, surprise the listeners, but I think the best way to start that is to by trying to surprise yourself, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. So, going a little bit deeper in that, what was that songwriting process like? I mean, were there ideas that were already there before the songwriting started, or was it just like genuine from like rehearsal or practice or sending each other files? How did that work out?
I think the the key factor was that, or key moment was when we played in Wacken open air in Germany. We opened the main stage. It was summer 2022, and we kind of there was like 15,000 people, so it was a big metal festival. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So there was 15,000 people, and it was the first big festival show outside Finland for us, like really big festival show. So we kind of saw that there's a lot of metalheads in the audience, and people that love metal music and rock music, and they have mosh pits and they bang their heads and have horns up and everything like that. So we kind of realized that this is the world where we want to go with the music. So next day, actually, we had a session with the Berlin-based songwriting duo, and we created Flatline. So we wanted to combine the super poppy electronic dance music vibes and also hip hop to the super heavy metal. So we kind of wanted to have a mix of those two worlds, like being in the same package, and that's what Exit Emotions and Blind Channel is all about right now.
Yeah, I think like you all said, like you all mentioned two incidents, like the Wacken open air show and the session with the Blind, the songwriting duo from Germany. And I think overall, like those two incidents, like if you look at them in a bigger picture, what's different about this album is that between the previous album and this one, we played over 200 shows and mostly at metal festivals or like on our own tours. And that really affected the sound of the album. This is the first album we've ever like approached from a live perspective, even in the songwriting phase. And we made the previous albums completely by ourselves with the band because we had a new member and we wanted to practice the new chemistry and all that. But we wanted this album to like sound very international. So we had to like go outside Finland. We went to Berlin, then we went to London, and eventually we went to Los Angeles to do the songwriting process to work with like different songwriters and producers and all kinds of artists and music industry people just to make a very international sounding record and to also capture that raw live music power. And I think we succeeded in both of those things. And that, yeah, that's how this album is different from our previous work.
So, going a little bit deeper in that, like, what was it like to be able to go to these different places and work with outside people to get their perspectives on what could happen in the future and what ended up on the album?
I guess it was kind of new world that opened for us, especially in America, because we went there. It was late 2022. I think it was November. We went there. We had tons of sessions for 3 weeks with the locals. So to get into the American songwriting world and LA scene and everything, going to the parties for the first time, for example, emo nights, seeing the people, seeing Avril Lavigne on this level, hanging out with the people, it's a lot for a band that comes from Finland. It feels like we're so far away from home. We don't we don't belong here. And that's also the lyric in the song Wolves in California, because we felt that way. We felt that we're so outsiders, we don't belong here. So it felt so like crazy to go there and meet all the American songwriters and create this beautiful creation called Exit Emotions with them.
And also, like, yeah, Joe mentioned Wolves in California, and overall the process, like, it was weird to, like, there also the reason to collaborate with a lot of different talented people, was to like we want to keep evolving, we want to get better at what we do, and we don't want to be like stuck in our own ways of making things, because and we feel like the only way to get better, like as a songwriter and as an artist, is to like you need to meet people who have different kind of ideas and you need to like be able to bounce those ideas around and maybe learn something new in the process. And also like the fact that we went so far from home, that kind of also like that taught us how special the place where we come from is as well. Like we've always seen that the fact that we're from Finland and this a small northern city in Finland, we saw it as like a weakness or something like that. But then when we mentioned it, for example, in Los Angeles, we were talking about wolves and winter and coldness and the sun that doesn't rise for a long time, and people were super stoked about that. They said that that's so cool, and like, and we learned to turn it into our strength, in the songs. And we wrote the song Wolves in California. It's a story about like our experiences in the US, but there is also like a lot of hype about Finland going on. My favorite line from the whole album is from that song, and it's the line goes, "The night is darkest just before the dawn, but where I'm from, the sun don't rise at all." And that kind of sums up the feeling of the whole album.
Yeah, and that's one thing I particularly noticed the more that I listen to the album is I can really hear the lyrics being very introspective. And in that song in particular, like hearing the experiences of what that's about. But I also hear a lot of things about like mental struggles and the state of the world and just living life. Like I really appreciate the lyrical content that's being tackled on this album.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So
Like
much.
I do most of the lyrical heavy lifting, but it's important to like mention that I always write from the perspective of the whole band. like because we go through the same stuff. We're always together in a tour bus, on stage, in the studio, in an interview like we're right now. So the six of us in the band, we go through the same hardships, and we always like try to write from our perspective, like what's happening to us, to keep it like very honest. But it's been crazy to see that the more honest and open we are with our own experiences, the more people say they can relate to the songs, and it's been awesome to notice. Yeah.
Yeah, the more I listen to the album, the more I pick up on all of that. And uh, again, like going within the music, lyrical content and music wise, like there's so much depth to the album. There's so many layers that you can pick apart. And the more you listen to it, the more that you're able to pick up on those things. So I really appreciate that the album really does have that replay value where you can go back and pick up on something new.
Oh yeah, that's important. Like we wanted to make an album that if you go to the future for 2000 like 34 or something like that, we would love to have an album that people come back 10 years later, like they feel that kind of like the same thing with for example Hybrid Theory or Meteora. We feel that right now Meteora is more on the today's world that is it was like back in 2003. Like now it's super acceptable. People love it right now. Everyone seems to love Linkin Park again. So we kind of wanted to make a same kind of album that it's still it's still there when we are way older and time flies. Yeah.
Yeah, and I truly appreciate that as well too. And you're absolutely right. Like I totally feel that with Meteora in particular. Like Hybrid Theory is a great album, but I feel like Meteora was like more of like the real album, like the one that has more of that staying power for the lyrical and musical concepts. So that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense, and I can totally see that happening with this album as well too. Time Given and obviously the future of the band, whatever happens in the future, there's so many great things that could happen. But yeah, I could totally see this like 10, 15, 20 years from now, people having that same kind of feeling.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
So going back a little bit into the songwriting process and working with other people, it was mentioned that obviously learning a lot more from the different perspectives. Like, is there any particular examples that you learned or really taken to heart from working with these other people, like ideas that weren't originally in the band or the songwriting?
Well, like I think a very important lesson for us was centered around the song Dead Zone. We were in Los Angeles. We had this amazing like studio in the Hollywood Hills where we worked for 3 weeks, and one of the first sessions was with this guy Johnny Andrews, who has been like writing a lot of like top 10 or even number one active radio rock songs, and like it's the purpose of this album, like one of the goals with this album was also like to get the game started in the US. Like we had just done our first tours in the US, and we really wanted to get started in there. We were doing pretty well in Europe, we're doing super good in Finland, but like our childhood dream was to tour the US, tour America. So like, and we felt like we need to learn something, like how to like write music to the people in the US, who the native speakers who speak native English. And then like Johnny came to the studio, and he had this like very short clip of demo for it was called Dead Zone already, and we fell in love with it. And like with that song, all with the structure of the song, and like everything that had to do with the songwriting process, even the lyrics. Like we said that we want to say this thing in a song, but Johnny said, I get it, but say it like this, so it sounds more and more like this and more like that. And we really learned like how to make music to native speakers, if you know what I'm saying. And it turned out like the song turned out pretty good, and it's right now on Billboard's active rock list. I don't remember the number. Is it 20 something, I
Yeah,
think.
20 something, yeah.
2020 something. So that really worked, and we were super happy to like to make the song still sounds like Blind Channel, but there's the American songwriting aspect is there, and we really like that.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring that up as well too. Like that seeing the song pop up on the charts like that. I just thought that was so cool seeing that over here in the States because it is usually filled with so many American bands. It's so great to see someone outside of America actually hit over here and being able to bring in different kinds of influences, but still have that feel that the American rock scene can appreciate. And I think you guys absolutely nailed that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Feels unreal.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So, going back into the part right before that, with like coming up with like lyrical ideas and being able to say them in a different way, did that take a bit of time to adjust to, or did that feel natural as you were starting to do that?
I think if we're talking about lyrics in general, I think Niko, you are the right person to answer this.
Well, yeah, like mostly like well, Dead Zone. At first, it was like hard to. I'm very strict about the lyrics, like because I come from this hip hop world where writing your own lyrics is like it's very important to rappers. I'm always been very strict about blind channel lyrics, and then there comes this guy, and I say like I want to say things like this, and he said like he gets the idea, and he said like say the same thing but say it like this. It was hard at first, but I've like I had to remind myself that we came here to learn and experience and get new perspectives. So now that we're getting it, you don't get to be like, I don't like this. So I'm at the end of the day, if you look at the charts where the song is going right now, I'm super happy that we listen to Johnny Andrews, and we're definitely gonna be working with him again in the future.
Yeah, that's got me very excited too, because if this is what happens on the first encounter, being able to work with them for the first time, I'm excited to see once, that relationship, musical relationship develops even more and just more of what could happen in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
So also thinking about that as well too, like what was it like for the first time being able to hear the album all mixed and mastered and finalized? Like what was that like for you?
I think on that point we were so done with the recordings. We were recording on that point for 3 weeks in a row. Like then we had like I think it was 1 or 2 weeks break, and then we got the master or the mixes. So I don't even remember what was first. I think Chuck Cervini made most of the songs. He mixed most of the songs, so we got the mixed backs because we were already so fucking done with the tracks. We've been like singing and playing and trying to twinkle all the mixes all the time. So we were so done with the tracks. But when we took a little break from the album, like when the master came to us, after that I took like 2 or 3 months break. Like I didn't listen to the album at all. But when I listened to it again, I was like, holy motherfucking shit, this is so fucking good album. And I think it was necessary to have that little break so we kind of got those fresh ears and fresh senses to kind of take that album as it is, as the audience take it. And now when I'm listening to the master, wherever I am, like in a plane or in a car, I have my AirPods on. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And now we work so perfectly. So yeah, I think my answer is that I needed to break to get the perspective to see it as you can see it or hear it.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. And I'm so glad you did that too, because that burnout is so real. And when you listen to it, you might even second guess yourself because you've heard a part so many times and you wonder if it actually has that staying power. So, stepping away for like a week or two or a month or whatever, however long you need to, can be one of the best things you can do and be able to come back and really see the progress that you made for the album was the right direction to go into. And again, obviously from only hearing the final product on my end, I love the way it was done. The mix and the masters of everything works so well. Hearing the layers, like if you listen for a particular part, you can hear it and it's not just buried, which is a really hard thing to do, especially with the layers that's going on with this album. And yeah, just like there's so much to appreciate about that from the production, music, lyrical content, all of that stuff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So, obviously with that in mind, I mean, of course, again, the album coming out, it's on the first of the month coming up, and being on Century Media, which is such a great label, and I feel like it's a perfect choice for you guys to be a part of that. I gotta imagine like more of the touring stuff is going to be happening after the release, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's your
yeah, go ahead.
European headline run is starting on, I think it was 21st of March. But before that, we will be in America. We just announced that we're going to play in this, whatever is the radio conference showcase thing in Las Vegas. It's going to be on the same day when album comes out. So 1st of March, we'll be playing in Las Vegas. Then we do 2 weeks of promotion in America. We go all the way to all radios to play Dead Zone acoustic and go to the radios, having interviews. Then we have South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. It's going to happen in, I think it was 14 or 13 of March. I don't remember the date. But after that, we go back to Europe. Then we have the European headline run. Then we actually come back to America for a really big tour and 2 festivals. So yeah, that's the plan right now.
That is just incredible to see. I mean, just the rise of everything that's happened and everything going in the right direction. Like going from smaller shows to being able to do headlining tours now. It's just, I'm so happy for you guys to see the rise of that because
Thank
it's
you.
well deserved.
Thank you so much. We're super happy too. Like this has been the dream, and now we're touring a lot, and it's also we've been touring for the past 2 years, but now we're getting new songs on the set, and not just one single. We're getting an like album full of songs to the set list, and we're super excited about that.
Oh, definitely. So, of course, you just mentioned that there's going to be like a radio promo going to different stations and being able to play acoustic. Uh, are you going to be continuing with the Backstreet Boys cover? Because I really love the cover that came out a few weeks ago of doing Backstreet's Back. I loved hearing it the way that you guys did it.
I think we have something in mind with regarding the Backstreet Boys cover, and it's like the Backstreet Boys thing is something we can't wash off anymore. Like it happened like over 10 years ago in this Finnish metal festival. Like we were on stage and we did our best. We were still like all kids back then, but like uh the people in the festival, the true heavy metal heads, they said that like you guys aren't real metal, you're just the Backstreet Boys of the metal scene, and we were like, damn, hell yeah, we are. Like we're gonna be exactly that. And we turned it into our strength. And we've been calling our music violent pop music, and we've been doing like dance choreographies or whatever, like just to like provoke people, and it's been really working. And I think the Backstreet Boys cover, the acoustic cover we played in the radio, it was just a continuum of all those things. And we have some surprises like in from the Backstreet Boys world in our heads. Let's see what happens. But yeah, we're not gonna get rid of that.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and I can only imagine like how tough it can be now with the set list and putting that all together because obviously with the rise of everything that's happened between the previous album and the one that's coming up, obviously that wants to be a focus, but also being able to go in the back catalog as well too and being able to flesh things out, especially for the headlining sets.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we're gonna play on this European run. We're gonna play the whole album and also the biggest hit songs, like from the lifestyles and violent pop for sure. But we are so ready to play the whole album on headline shows. I mean, America, we're not headliners yet, but I guess next year or 26, that's gonna be the first US headline tour. That's our plan right now. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I totally hope that that happens too, because I mean, with the way this album is, when it finally comes out on the first and more of the American fan base is able to hear more than just the singles, I think there's going to be a big explosion over here of popularity that's going to happen. And I already sense it happening because you guys are covering it, the styles that people love, but you're also being yourselves. It's very authentic, which is a very hard thing to do because there's a lot of people who want to fake it, but I can hear the authenticity that you guys are putting into this.
Thank you so much. Hopefully,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
So, also with that in mind, I mean, obviously, with being able to expand outside of Finland and being able to play all these different places, and sometimes like what was mentioned earlier, playing Backstreet Boys and trying to purposely aggravate the metal culture. Like, what is it like being able to explore these different cities and getting the reactions from different countries?
I think that's a big part of the fun we're having. Like like when we started, it was almost a problem that we were too pop for some metal festivals. but at the same time we were way too heavy for some like pop music festivals, and it was hard to find our place. But I'm like super happy that eventually a couple of years ago we got our first breakthrough in Finland and in Europe, and we found our place, and like people like saw our vision about everything, that the fact that we're definitely a rock/metal band, but we're limitless, like we can do anything, and like we want to surprise people with our music, with our live shows, and the like provoking audiences has always been in our DNA. And it started like because when we were performing at metal festivals, there were a lot of people like just standing with like this, and they didn't like us at all and stuff like that. And all of us would take like some one or two persons in the audience and be like, if we can get that motherfucker to jump or to sing or to dance, then we have succeeded in this show. And I think like it's great that even though we're playing arenas in Finland and pretty big venues in Europe, at the same time in the US we're still like just getting started, and the audiences are sometimes smaller, but so it takes us back to the roots, and it's still most of the fun when the audience doesn't know us like before. They come to see a show, but they don't know what Blind Channel is. And first they're gonna be, maybe some people fell in love immediately, some people get like absolutely shocked, like what the fuck is this? Maybe they don't like it, but we get to enjoy all of their expressions on their faces and just like do our thing and try to win the audience to our side. That's one of the best parts in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can totally see that as well too. Like whenever I played shows, one of the best feelings is like to win people over who have no idea who you are. And when you're able to do that and you're able to build that new fan base, and even better, they're able to buy merch at that show and really show that appreciation. It's just like you're going in the right track. And especially with everything from what it sounds like, you're being yourselves, you're exploring other options of what the band can be, but it's that authenticity and being true to yourselves that really holds up. And I imagine, with this album, and if there's a new album by the time that North American headline run that could happen, like there's so many great things that can happen with that. And just being able to build upon what you're doing now, it's gonna work. I can feel it. And I'm just so excited to see what all of that's gonna bring in the next few years.
Oh yeah,
We're
totally. Yeah.
excited too.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think that's a great note to end on. And I want to thank both of you so much for taking the time to do this and be able to talk about the new album again coming out on the 1st of March through Century Media. Uh, the explosion is imminent here in North America and especially in America, where I can just see it, like you guys are taking the right steps, like going to LA, going to play in Vegas, and then being able to expand upon everything from there. And then, of course, Europe as well, like with all the awesome touring that you're doing with that. And I also got to imagine with the album being done for a little bit, like maybe there's some new ideas for the next release, or maybe it's just focusing on touring. But whatever happens, I know you guys are going to be going in the right direction, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us. Nice to chat.
Oh, not a
Cheers.
problem. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
Mm,
Thank you for
I
all your
think
support. Listen to the new
yeah.
album Exit Emotions when it comes out, and grab the tickets whenever we come to do a tour there. Like grab the tickets to the nearest Blind Channel show. Like, because this isn't an album that needs to only be listened from Spotify or iTunes or whatever. This album needs to be experienced. With these songs come alive when we play them live. So come experience Exit Emotions with us.
Oh, totally. As much as I enjoyed the songs on the record, I gotta imagine that live experience is going to be that much better. Yeah, that's so cool. And again, I just want to thank both of you so much for taking the time to do this. It was great to be able to get the insights from both of you to be able to learn even more about Blind Channel and what to look forward to coming up very soon and in the near future as well. So thank you once again. I plan on having this interview up within the next hour or two, being able to promote it the best that I can. And yeah, I wish all of you nothing but the best. And thanks again. And I hope you have a great rest of the night.
Thank you so much. See
See you
ya.
around.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.